Yeah, that's the deal, isn't it? I mean, that's the ticket. I think when we looked at that earlier, I think in the if you take the Long Island game out, where I'm not sure how many carries he had in that game, I believe in the 3 wins he's got over 100 yards, and in the 5 losses he's under 100. So that's the key for them. I think they want to play a physical brand of football. I think they're throwing it a little bit more than maybe they'd want to right now, and if they can get him going, they generally have success, and that's going to be the key, us stopping him early.
You typically, as a defense, want to get teams in 3rd and long, 3rd and medium, but is that even more important with what the pass rush has been doing lately?
Yeah, I mean, that's, and early in the year, we really struggled to do that. We were getting a 3rd down, but it was 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 3, and, kind of at the mercy. And I think they're probably preaching the same thing. We got to get ourselves into 3rd and manageable. And, it just opens up so many options, so many different coverage things you can do, so many different pressures that you can bring, let alone, cutting Felix and Nate and those guys loose. So that's been something we've been having some success with the last couple of weeks.
Finally, Oklahoma State, I think, had 8 sacks.
Yeah.
What did they do well?
Just relentlessness. I mean, it wasn't anything fancy. I thought there was some things that I think maybe 3 or 4 of them. I think they just brought 3 guys. I think they did some good things coverage-wise that made them hold the ball. I think there were a couple. I know there was one that was a screen pass that they defended really well, and he had to eat it. I mean, there were some things like that it wasn't just terrible offensive line play. I think there were some things that were circumstantial as well.
Daniel Green in both the last 2 games has had a really good tackle where he sniffs out the running back trying to get the edge and hits him in the backfield. What makes him so good on those kind of plays?
I think the design of the defense is to get the ball going to the perimeter, and I think he does such a good job of feeling his way through things inside out, and then he's not afraid to hit it when he sees an opening, and that's just the fact that he's playing fast is why he's making so many splash plays.
Switching gears a little bit, this is the first year in your new defensive scheme, so to speak. Has it almost kind of helped you know how to recruit it moving forward?
That's a great question. We've been talking a lot about that lately. Yeah, and early in the year that was a topic of discussion because we weren't sure where we were going to go and what we were going to be. I think the more that we are into this, I think it does become much more clear with where we want to go and the types of bodies, probably more so than anything that we want to recruit. And I know I can't say that we're there right now with our current roster exactly where we'd want to be, at every position, but we're working on it.
And is Reggie Stubblefield kind of a good example of that? He's kind of turned into a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, and Reggie's just one of our best 11, and he's a good playmaker, and I don't know that he necessarily fits the prototype. It's a good example of what we want at that position, but he does give us some versatility to do some different things with him that we couldn't do with Khalid Duke or Ryan Hennington or Wayne Jones. We can stick him out there and play some man coverage with him. We can stick him out there and, he's an effective blitzer. Can do a bunch of different zone drops. We can put him in the half field if we want to. And, so we're going to have some guys like that also. Tough to find.
We haven't seen really Echo Boydo get challenged that much this year, but he did have 2 pass breakups in the end zone against Kansas. Just kind of how would you rate his performance so far this year?
Steady Eddie. I mean, that's exactly where he's been. I mean, he's been on top of things. He's been good in his technique. He's been sound, and I sometimes it's a good thing when you don't hear a corner's name all that often. And he's tremendously fast, and so he's able to stay on top of routes. So there's been some times when people have wanted to take shots on him, it just hadn't been there. And it was good to see him to play the ball like he did on Saturday, and I was especially sweet for him because he's a Lawrence kid, and I think that always is a little special when he's playing against KU.
What is it about West Virginia in the last 2 years that's made them a tough matchup?
They're tough. I mean, they're a tough physical team. They're well coached. They're methodical in what they do. They believe in what they do, and they just do it really well. And probably one of the more physical O-lines. I think that was our takeaway from it a year ago, that they were able to get that, a tremendous running back going behind a powerful offensive line. And, when you rank the O-lines in the league, to me, they're in the top couple for sure. And, they've been on top of that, they got good playmakers on the perimeter. I mean, really good receiving core. They utilize them well with their play-action game and their drop-back game, for that matter. And they get those guys to the ball on screen plays and stuff, and they can make things happen after the catch. So I think it's a combination of just personnel and the attitude and mentality of what they're doing as a program.
If I'm recalling last year right, they were effective with a lot of quick passing, slants, and those type of things?
Yeah.
What can you do to prevent that again?
Yeah, I think some of it was just missed tackles that turned into explosive things. I think not that we were in awful positions on some of those. I know there was one on a third down that really kind of changed the game. It was the middle of the second quarter, or 10 minutes ago in the second quarter. It was 3-3, and they threw just a little, the ball got out of the hands quickly. We brought a pressure, and I think two guys ran by it. Two guys ran into each other. We missed the tackle with the guy in the middle of the field, and it went for 60. And, a couple plays later they scored, and it kind of snowballed from there. And I think we just have to take better angles. I think we're better at that as a program right now. And just got to finish plays.
He leads the Big 12 in yardage, passing yardage, but also in interceptions. Any common themes with what happens when he throws picks?
Sure. I think sometimes under duress is a thing, and again, I think they're talented up front. I don't know that's the issue, but I don't think anybody's completely baffled him with what they've done defensively. I think sometimes he just is trying to make plays and things happen.
I believe 2 years ago was the first start he had at West Virginia.
Yeah.
There's their starter. How much better and how far has he come since then?
We knew his name back then, and I think that was kind of his coming out party. They came in and we had another kind of disastrous scramble that ended up costing us that game. It's not night and day. I think at the time he was just a transfer from Bowling Green that was a depth guy, and now he's turned into one of the better quarterbacks in the league. So he's just, his confidence has grown. I think somebody told me a stat he'd thrown in his career something. You guys know better than me, 1,500 passes or something. That sounds like an insane number, but there aren't too many people in the country that have had that many attempts. So there's not too much he hasn't seen.
Joe, how frequently have you had to prepare so specifically for two quarterbacks in the quarterback run game that Green offers?
Yeah, Texas Tech did a little bit of that a few weeks ago with a couple of quarterbacks that they had. The difference is Green will throw the ball. In Texas Tech, we kind of had the feeling that wasn't going to happen. They were bringing a guy in to run him. Certainly they want to do that with Green also, but he will drop back and throw it too, so it's going to make our plan a little bit more open.
How much more confidence would you say your defense is playing with right now than before the winning streak?
That's a great question. I think you'd have to assume that they're playing with a lot more confidence. I don't, it's not things we typically talk about, but you can just see it in the way they prepare. I think the big emphasis, and Coach Klanderman was the spearhead of this, is just, we went through those 3 weeks, and then after that, our preparation has been so much better in terms of the amount of film study that guys are doing on their own, in terms of these guys getting together on their own, in terms of our practice habits. There's a lot of things that that we changed, that we just had to reevaluate after that time if we wanted to get ourselves out of that, funk, and that's improved each week. So if that's a function of confidence, then it's drastically improved.
When we spoke to Bronson on Tuesday, he said he felt like maybe part of the reason that Felix had so much success is that he played in the 3-down alignment in high school. When you kind of think back to when you guys were installing it, did it seem like he maybe picked it up quicker than anybody?
No, I don't know. That's I don't know. He's a 5 technique. He's a 5 technique, and I think part of the reason you're having success is because he's a dang good player.
I'll let Bronson know that.
We kind of all of a sudden we've got running backs all over this league that and everyone kind of went to these smaller defenses for the spread.
Yeah.
Letty Brown's a little bit different because he's a between the tackles, primarily NFL style guy.
Yeah.
What does that present for a 3-man front?
I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to hit your fits. Every defense has got run fits and gaps and design or whatever you're going to end up funneling the ball to. We just got to be sound in our technique and execute. Same as anybody.